You ever hear a sound so wrong, so out of place, that for a second your brain just refuses to believe it's real? That was me that morning in Silver Pines, a peaceful little suburb where folks care more about the height of their hedges than anything else. The day started just like every other. Birds singing, the distant whir of sprinklers, the gentle hum of neighbors going about their routines. And then, out of nowhere, the world tore open. This screech, metal on metal, so violent and jarring it made my heart seize up. I can still smell it, you know? The mix of burnt antifreeze and crushed roses, the kind of smell you remember for the rest of your life. By the time I got to the street, there was the community shuttle, or what was left of it, halfway swallowed by Mr. Beckett's prized rose garden, steam billowing from the hood like the final breath of some dying animal. Broken glass everywhere, splashes of red and pink from the flowers smeared across twisted chrome, and through those webs of shattered glass, I saw them. Little faces, frozen in shock. Kids who should have been heading home from therapy, not living through a nightmare. I'm Tom Harris, though to most people here, I'm just the quiet guy in a button-down at the back of the HOA meetings, always scribbling in a notebook. They don't know that I'm the regional chief for the Department of Transportation. I come to these meetings undercover, you might say, because you can't really fix a system from behind a desk. You've got to see the cracks up close. And I've been seeing a lot of cracks lately, not in the roads, but in the people. Especially in one person, Marcia Pennington, the storm in designer heels, the woman whose complaints filled half my files before I ever set foot in Silver Pines. That morning, before everything went to hell, I'd watched Marcia stand up in the HOA meeting and turn the room ice-cold in 3 sentences flat. "It's absurd," she said, voice sharp as broken glass, "that our dues go toward a shuttle that spends half its time waiting for special needs kids. Every stop, every harness, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Some of us have jobs. Some of us can't afford to be late." She said it like she was fighting for justice, but I could see the discomfort ripple through the crowd. Folks too polite to argue, too worn out to care, except for Mrs. Adler in the third row, clutching her purse as if to steady herself. Her son, Danny, was one of those kids, and his wheelchair was more than a ride. It was his world. Marcia wasn't done. "Last year I lost a big client because that bus made me late. 35 minutes. I'm a single mom. I can't lose work because someone else needs extra help." There was this moment where the whole room seemed to hold its breath, a mix of pity and frustration, and that special kind of fear that Marcia always seemed to inspire. And me? I just sat there, listening, because if you want to know what's broken, you have to listen to people when they think no one important is paying attention. Then, just as the meeting ended, Marcia's eyes landed on something near the door. The shuttle keys, left dangling on a hook, the regular driver out sick, his nervous young stand-in nowhere to be seen. For a second, I saw a flicker in her eyes, a flash of something desperate and reckless. She snatched the keys, her voice ringing out, "Talk is cheap. Let's see how fast I can get this thing moving." It all happened so quick. Mrs. Adler tried to stop her. "Marcia, don't, my son's on that bus." But Marcia was already gone, striding out with that dangerous sense of purpose only people with nothing left to lose seem to have. I ran after her, calling her name, but by then the shuttle was already barreling down the street, kids' faces bouncing in the back window, my own voice lost in the roar of the engine. And then, that crash. The one I'll never forget. What nobody knew yet was that Marcia's crusade wasn't about the shuttle or the kids. Not really. She'd just lost her job, again, and needed someone to blame, something to prove. Maybe she thought if she pulled off some dramatic demonstration, she'd force the HOA to change. Maybe, for once, she'd feel like the hero. Standing at the crash site, adrenaline pounding, I yanked open the emergency door. The smell of gas, the steam, the kids shaking but alive. Thank God for those safety restraints, the same ones Marcia had mocked for being excessive. Little Danny was holding his bear, eyes wide, not crying, just silent. His twin sisters, Sophie and Ella, huddled together, a streak of blood on Sophie's cheek. I checked them over, nothing life-threatening, but the fear, the shock, that was going to last a while. And Marcia? She was slumped over the wheel, scarf askew, eyes dazed, already building her next excuse. Brakes were bad. "This bus is a death trap," I told them. She looked straight through me, as if she was the victim here. I didn't wait. I flashed my badge, my voice colder than I felt. Marcia Pennington, you're under arrest for reckless endangerment and hijacking a vehicle. She stared, that old indignation flaring up. You can't be serious, Tom. I was trying to help. I was proving a point. Behind me, Mrs. Adler's scream cut through everything. You could have killed them. You could have killed my son. Paramedics arrived, neighbors gathering in horror, police stringing up yellow tape. The whole block felt broken, not just from the crash, but from the realization that for years, everyone had just let Marcia run wild because it was easier to keep quiet. Here's where the story usually ends, right? The villain caught, the community traumatized, maybe a lesson learned. But life in Silver Pines wasn't that simple. The aftermath was a mess. Lawyers, headlines, endless meetings. Marcia, out on bail, hired a smooth-talking attorney, spinning the story. Single mom, stressed, momentary lapse. The DA considered a plea deal. The families, meanwhile, were left to pick up the pieces. One night, I sat in Mrs. Adler's kitchen. Danny wouldn't go near his wheelchair. It's a cage now, he whispered to his mom. In Mr. Beckett's garden, the roses were gone. It's not the flowers, he told me. It's what they meant. My wife remembers them, even if she doesn't remember me. Then came the twist. My lead investigator, Sanchez, found the bus's forward camera, barely salvageable. And there it was, clear as day. The road ahead empty, Marcia's hands jerking the wheel on purpose, a cold little smile in the rear view just before the crash. She wasn't panicking. She was trying to prove herself right, no matter the cost. At the next town hall meeting, as the DA announced the plea, I took a chance. We played the footage for everyone. You could feel the temperature in the room drop. Even the folks who defended Marcia the longest, they saw the truth. Mrs. Adler stood, voice steady now. Our kids aren't lessons for you to learn from. Actions have consequences. Mr. Beckett followed. You took more than roses, Marcia. You took our peace. One by one, the community stood, silent, resolute, unbreakable. When the video ended, Marcia's lawyer tried to spin, but the DA pulled the plea. The trial was quick. The evidence was overwhelming. Marcia went to prison, her house and assets sold to pay for the kids' therapy, to rebuild the Shuttle program from scratch. But the real ending, the real high, wasn't a gavel or a headline. It was that autumn, when the new Shuttle rolled up for the first time, shining and safe. George, the new driver, greeted every kid by name. Danny hesitated, then climbed aboard. Mrs. Adler waved. That tension finally, just for a second, gone from her shoulders. Neighbors came together to replant Mr. Beckett's roses. It wasn't perfect. Some scars never heal. But for the first time in a long time, laughter drowned out the echo of that terrible crash. So here's what I want to ask you. When something goes wrong in your community, do you look away, or do you stand up? Do you let the loudest voice drown out the most vulnerable, or do you draw a line? Justice isn't a one-time thing. It's what we build, one hard, messy choice at a time. I'd love to hear what you think. Was there a moment you saw your own neighborhood come together or fall apart? What would you have done if you were in that meeting room? Let's talk about it below, because the story's not over until we all decide how it ends.